We all have to eat. You might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
And welcome to the big show. Once again, The Food Show is here every Sunday afternoon, and I'm glad that you're able to join us today. We have a kind of a seasonal show today, one that's got some special tasting beer in it that you can probably enjoy most at this time of the year. And we're really glad to be able to present to you Jake Richards, of course, from Grape Expectations. He'll be here in the next segment to tell us a little bit about some pretty funky beer. I shouldn't say that, should I? It's not really funky. It's pumpkin-y, we'll say. So it's great to have Jake along. Now, my very special guests in-house here are Jen and Bill. They're the Kicks 106 morning team. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you alongside.
Thank you. Pleasure. Free beer? Are you kidding me? I wouldn't miss this for the world.
You can't turn that down. That's Bill Hart, of course. He's big country.
Yeah,
big country. And I don't know, what is it? Jen gets the first billing. It's Jen Campbell.
Jennifer.
Jen gets the neck.
Yeah, we actually had a little wrestling match out back, and she won, so she gets the top billing.
Okay. Yeah. Even though you're big country, she had the moves.
I'm telling you, she'll surprise a lot of people.
I verbally assaulted him into submission.
Well, what we did, the three of us, as we so often do here on the Food Show, is we got together at a local restaurant and we ate together and we chatted. We had a great time at the Edelweiss Tavern. And what we do at this point, though, a little later in the show, is we turn it over to you, and you become the reviewers. You give your critique, your comments, your the things you liked, the things you didn't like. Talk a little bit about what you got out of the meal. And I don't know if that's a new thing for you or not, but certainly eating isn't,
no.
Obviously.
Heck no.
Everyone loves restaurants. Everyone loves to eat. Yeah, we've got kind of an interesting show. I got some show and tell. I brought some show and tell into it. I'm not going to tell you yet what it is. I actually had to leave it in a bag because it's a kind of smelly show and tell.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So we'll leave that, a little later in the show, we'll open that up. And it is edible, though.
If
you're daring, it's edible. It's a little hard to get at, but it's edible. It comes from my backyard. And
wow.
I found some stuff in my backyard too, but you don't
wouldn't want to eat
that?
that? No, I had to. Yeah, it was hard because I had to search through all the leaves have fallen, of course, and I've got a lot of raking to do. But I can find. They're not mushrooms. If you're thinking they're mushrooms, they're not mushrooms. They're something else. Yeah, it's a little intriguing.
Do you grow a lot of your own food?
No,
we
did. When I was a young daddy, my wife and I, we did the requisite planting of vegetables in the backyard, and we did our best to try to help the kids learn. The groceries, the food doesn't come from the grocery store, right? I mean, it has to come from a farmer, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, we take them into the backyard. It's time to get some carrots. And they'd all come up about an inch and a half big. So they had this warped idea of what, vegetables looked like. Well, no, carrots are actually sometimes very large. And, yeah, we tried that. We have dogs, and the dogs tend to ruin plants and things in the backyards. But I think we're going back to it, though, because we have a plan in place for some backyard renovations, which will include, I figured this out. It took me 15 years of living in this house. It took me 15 years, but I'm going to do raised garden beds.
Boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know where I saw this. I think it was in a magazine, the How To magazine, and a raised garden idea sounds really good to me, that I could pop this box up. I'm saying that. It's easy to pop it up, right? It's just easy. Oh, yeah, it'd be no problem at all. But once we get the soil and stuff in there, we can grow things and keep the animals out of it.
Yeah.
And now, that's closely allied to one of the problems, or one of the things about what I brought in today on the show and tell. It's whatever I'm bringing in also tends to be toxic in some respects to other plant life.
Oh, you're going to poison us.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's right, it's hemlock.
We've been waiting for this moment forever.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, here I am with Jen and Bill of the Kicks 106 morning squad that you guys get up early in the morning, don't you, to do
Yes,
your
this is a joy to start at
Yep.
noon, yeah.
But we don't have any great country music here for you, though.
That's okay. There's food.
Maybe
and
Hillary
beer.
can find us some country. Yeah, there's a little bit of food, yeah. And we should also say that if you want to, you can be looking at 570news.com, and you can go to the webcast button, and you can watch us live streamed here if you're watching on the internet. So
we don't do that either.
Yeah, you don't do that either.
Because it's 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's 5
and
a.m.
it's not pretty.
I know. That's one of the things that when you suddenly and the cameras are on, you can wave to people and say hello, but you gotta look a little bit presentable.
We do not.
Did you know that today is World Food Day?
I just heard that on
Yeah,
the way in.
it's the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has the big Food Day event. Sort of starts now and goes for the next week. It seems to me mostly a Roman thing. It's a lot of stuff happening in Rome. I guess that organization is based in Italy. But they have some horrible numbers about 70 to 80 million people are pushed by rising food costs, are pushed into poverty level subsistence, 80 million worldwide. That's not talking about the horrible famines that run through the Horn of Africa and all of that. This is just the food costs that rise bump people into poverty level living, even in the United States and places. And I think there was just a news report that there's people are getting like $4.56 a day to live on to feed themselves.
I was doing the math in my head on the way in, like thinking, I mean, clearly you could buy canned and processed foods, but to buy fresh food and produce for $4.50 a day it must be close to impossible.
Right, and if you're trying to feed kids healthy stuff to get them to grow and that, just a terrible thing. So I encourage you to go to FAO.org. That's the Food and Agriculture Organization, so FAO.org, and you can look at that page and go to the other pages that are there, and it'll give you some information about all the kinds of stuff that is happening to ending world hunger, and get involved somehow. And certainly the best way to get involved is obviously helping out with the local food banks, because I know they're very, very busy at this time of the year. This is their big time of the year when they're getting people fed for Thanksgiving, moving into Christmas, and all that stuff. So it's always good to, when you can, take care of those who have trouble, getting food. Major problem still. I had a lovely afternoon yesterday as well at the Mayor's Super Sampler down in Cambridge, at Cambridge City Hall. 10 restaurants get together and they raise some money for the Meals on Wheels program, so people can get fresh food, brought into them. And that was a lot of fun too. There's 10 different restaurants there. You go around, and I think it's $1 a sample, so $10 gets you a sampling, a nice little cup of all the different soups from 10 Cambridge restaurants. And it was really fun. Mayor Doug Craig sort of leads it off, and I was lucky enough to be one of the judges there, and there was some great soups, and all from local Cambridge restaurants. Just wonderful. Just a great.
It's such a perfect for this time of year too, because all you want to do on a day like this is eat soup or stew or chili or.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, we have a couple minutes before we have to have our first break. But are you a cook, Jen?
I try to be. Yes.
When you're not.
She's a great cook.
Oh, yeah?
She is. Trust me.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you cook?
Everything. Anything.
Are you the kind of person that opens up a cookbook and says, "Oh, I want to try, hummus, or I want to make, some kind of rabbit stew or something"? Are you?
Because I find I get stuck kind of in the same recipes, and I think if you don't.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
If you don't do that, your family kind of expects that you're gonna make chili and beef stew, and why not kind of throw something in
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You do get in a routine and a pattern, don't you? You
Yeah.
know, like pasta sauce, I can make that 50 times a year. I can just make it all the time. But you sort of stop yourself and you think, wait a second, do something different, make something a little bit different. What about you, Bill? You strike me? This is just you strike me as a kind of barbecue guy. Like, I mean, you live behind your barbecue. Probably
there's always something roasting on an open flame in my house. I don't care if it's 20 degrees or minus 20.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I take pride in, I love cooking chili.
Oh, yeah?
I take big pride in that, and if I can start in the morning and go to town with that. Now, my wife is trying to horn into my territory, and I'm a little perturbed at that, so I'm trying to push her out of there.
You're trying to push her away.
Yes.
So you're kind of possessive of your chili cooking
yeah,
prowess.
There's not a lot in the kitchen that I do well, and she can vouch for that. I eat well. Oh, definitely.
So now this is obviously a beef version, but it must have variety of beans and stuff in it.
Oh, gosh, yeah. More meat, the better.
Yeah, the
more spice, the better.
Yeah, you like it really hot?
Oh, yeah.
Do you find that on the second or third day after it's even better because the heat has had that extra time to sort of marry with all the...
I'm craving chili now, see, thank you.
Okay. Well, we have, like I say, my show and tell might not make you hungry anymore.
I have a recipe for chili that has chocolate in it.
Well, that's the one of the originals. Yeah,
Okay,
sure,
yeah.
like a Mexican style.
Yeah.
But it's not a sweet chocolate, right?
No.
It's a bittersweet chocolate. Yeah.
And I'm trying to convince him to do that.
I don't know. It's like I picture chili and her sprinkling chocolate chips on top of it. It's like,
no, not like that. Not like that.
Guys will come over and watch football.
You would still eat it.
Oh, I still eat it. No, yeah, of course. But the guys will come over and make fun of me.
That's the big thing, though, isn't it? Chili and football game. And,
chili.
Pints of beer.
Yeah,
and,
chili. And, if I ever go to the next level, I'm a big seafood nut. And seafood chowder. I'm from the East Coast.
You're from the East Coast, that's right. So I'd love to hear about your seafood chowder.
Oh, boy. You know what? They put everything in there. Yeah. There are even some things that a lot of folks will question. I mean, everything from the old cod tongue or two.
Yeah. I've had those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, just, they throw it all into a pot. There's just something great about it because you spoon it up and there's just everything. Mussels, scallops, a little bit of lobster in there. It's
Are you, is this something that sort of comes from the family? Is this grandmother's recipe handed down over generations, or did your mom sort of teach you how to do it?
Oh, this has definitely been handed down because where I come from, I got family in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And right there, I've walked into a kitchen once and opened up the cupboard doors and found nothing. It's like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to eat here. And I've been pushed out of the kitchen and, 30 minutes later, there's a meal made and I'm stuffed. It's like, how do you do this? So, they eat well on the East Coast for sure.
Yeah, I visited there 3 or 4 years ago, maybe not that long, and I think it was an absolutely stunning physical environment. The by the water and the small mountains that we were near, the fishing boats going in and out. It's an absolutely incredibly beautiful countryside, barren and sparse, but it was absolutely beautiful, and it was great. I went to this fishing factory. They wouldn't sell me anything, but I was able to sort of nudge, wink, wink as I'm leaving the facility, and a lady handed me a bag full of snow crab. I think it was snow crab season, and my wife and I were staying at a house just around the corner from the fish factory. We ate those things for a whole week, and they were just delicious. So when you've got access to that kind of stuff, it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
So then what you do is take all of the shells.
Now, you're from the East, too.
From BEI, yes.
Jake and I here are pretty outnumbered. Oh, you're from the West Coast, though, aren't you? Yeah.
West Coast.
Oh, you're
I'm completely landlocked.
So if you want to start a good chowder, of course, you would know this, too, that you take all of those shells and just boil and boil with onions and celery until your house is just almost unlivable.
No, that's absolutely true. I think people rip apart all that stuff and they throw it away, and you say, no, don't.
Yeah, and you'll see people from the East Coast eat lobster in a completely different way, like go right into the body and get these little secret caves of meat
little nooks and crannies.
You had no idea existed. Yeah.
We're like locusts when it comes to lobsters. That's exactly what it is. There's not much left afterwards.
Okay. Well, there's not much left in this segment, so we're going to have a quick break here. I'm Andrew Coppolino. This is The Food Show. Now, when we return, I have the question to ask of who put the pumpkin spice in my beer. Jake Richards and Grape Expectations will give us the answer. This is 570 News.
With Andrew Coppolino. To call Andrew, 519-570-2545. By cell, star 570. Or toll free, 1-800-570-5715.
I wanna live with a cinnamon girl. I can be happy the rest of my life with a cinnamon girl.
And welcome back. This is the second segment already. Time flies here when you're having fun. Bill and Jen and Bill. Kicks 106 morning team in the studio with me, and great to have you guys alongside. Did you do some Oktoberfesting?
Yes, plenty. Yeah. Do you know what I discovered about Oktoberfest this year? Was how amazing Family Day at Concordia is. Because I'd only been to Concordia during
when it's not Family Day.
Okay. It's very much the same, only a lot less spilled drink.
Okay.
And it was great. The atmosphere was huge, and they did a lot of polka songs for kids, and the beer was great.
Well, speaking of beer, then here we are with Jake Richards. He's our sommelier and wine educator that joins us on a regular basis here on the show to usually wine. However, what I like about what Jake does for us here and our listeners and viewers on the internet as well, 570news.com, and hit the webcast button, is sort of shake up the taste a little bit, give us a little bit new for challenges to our palate. So, maybe get some chocolate in our chili, and we need some different kind of beer. So, Cinnamon Girl was playing there, Neil Young. You've got a pumpkin beer here that's got some pretty interesting spicing. Tell us what we're looking at.
This is the Highballer Pumpkin Ale from Grand River Brewery.
Beautiful color.
In Cambridge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just really different. All these seasonal beers now are starting to get released. Slowly but surely, they're starting to creep into the shelves in the liquor store and the beer stores. Just something different. We talk about food a lot and the seasonal, how things change and ingredients will change, your taste change. I find it's the same with beer. In the summertime, I like a nice, crisp, clean lager, something that's very refreshing and thirst quenching. But now starting to get into the cooler weather, I like something beers with a little more body, a little more complexity. And what I brought here is, I think, a good showing of some of the seasonal beers that are coming out now. Yeah. So the pumpkin ale, you're typical beer, like a malt, whatever grain they decide to use for their malt, with pumpkin added. So the pumpkin adds a little bit of flavor, obviously, but also.
But it's not overpowering. It's not. You can sense it on the nose. It's there, but it's not like bang, a big blast of pumpkin, because you're looking for beer taste first and foremost. But then the pumpkin kind of slides in there nicely.
Yeah, it's. I think it'd be interesting to do some food pairings with this sort of thing, because it's a very savory.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Taste to it.
Yeah. Because
Something
pumpkin can be sickly sweet when you make a pie. It can got too much pie sort of sweetness to it. So interesting, and what a great color it is too.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
just
and
see the pumpkin in there,
aromatic.
can't you? Yeah.
And then there's another one, from Great Lakes Brewery, another pumpkin ale. I find this one's a little more. heavier.
Is this the dark one?
No,
Or this
no,
is-
I don't think you have that one.
Oh, I don't have this one. Oh.
It's,
Darn. Well, why not?
You should just be passing the
No, I'm
bottle
just
around.
kidding.
But Jake, you said that like the coloring that is in this pumpkin beer is truly from the pumpkin. Like you don't think that they're adding a color to it, because it's really something that it's really that vibrant.
Yeah, well, I mean, because of the ale is going to be a little darker anyway, but I'm sure the pumpkin does add that nice kind of hue to it.
I think most of these things now in this artisanal time are really raw ingredients that you actually could
Good.
find yourself. Yeah, I think there is some coloring in some beers and stuff, but these small batch producers are more likely probably to use real stuff. So, I mean, don't call in and correct me, please. Let's just let it go at that.
I trust you.
Sounds good, eh?
Yeah.
So what do we got in this one here? This one has this is a cloudier beer. It's not a.
Yeah, this is really cool too. This is Hop Nouveau. It's kind of a take on Beaujolais Nouveau. It's a very fresh beer.
Wow.
They actually brew this the day that they harvest the hops.
Yeah.
This beer.
Is that right, eh?
Well, and the shelf life is, I think it came out maybe about 2 weeks ago, and then by the end of the year, it's done. You can't really drink it anymore.
Is it ever
It's not
good? I
fresh.
mean, I really like hoppy beers, and that kind of bitterness, green, grassy kind of flavor is a hoppy. Now, Bill, you're sort of scowling, Bill.
You don't like that one?
Or you're not, or
No,
you just
actually,
wow.
I haven't had that one yet because I've been trying to go ahead. I'm trying to taste everything. So I'm
Yeah, you
watching
country
what's
guy, you
what.
country guys, you just got to keep rolling along, don't you?
I think I've sampled everything already while everyone was during the break there. I want to apologize for that, but I just think it's great that there's pumpkin in beer now. I'm looking at the labeling on the bottles. It's like
It's a
with,
fun
with
Halloween
Halloween
and
coming up and
everything,
everything.
yeah.
It's like, now that I'm like well over 21, I have to go out trick or treating and have someone put that in my bag. Like it'd be great. This is like good beer.
Hop Nouveau is from where? Which brewer?
It is Trafalgar Ales and Meadery.
Oakville. In Oakville, I think. Yeah, in Trafalgar, or Meadery, they're making honey beer, I guess, eh? Because
Yeah, I haven't seen any of their
honey
other products.
is the basis of mead, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I haven't seen any of their meads yet, so it's probably like a specialty thing. You'd have to actually go to the brewery to
And you can
find
say, hey,
that.
pleased to meet you. But this is a cloudy beer, right? So this means that it hasn't been filtered or whatever. It looked to me like a wheat beer, the Hop Nouveau.
It does. It has that color
Yeah.
to it. But
I love
it's,
it. I absolutely love it. Do you like it, Jen?
I do, and I'm very new to beer. I have to be honest. I'm a wine girl, and even just in the past couple of weeks, I cannot believe how much I've learned about beer, how to taste it,
Yeah.
how to pair it. We went to a great event that
Yeah.
taught us how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's when someone coaches you through it, it's much easier to kind of learn quickly about how to do that. Because before, to me, beer tasted like beer, and I don't.
Yeah,
really
I think
appreciate
when you buy sort of the name brand big products that are pretty flat in their taste
Yeah.
and they're appealing to many palates, so they have to stay sort of neutral. Then you get some of these hoppier things, and they can just blow your taste buds away. It's a real nice thing to drink.
And I would encourage people who aren't beer drinkers to probably start with these, because like you say, those beers that are, which still people love them, they're very brand loyal, but I enjoy these much more than I ever enjoyed a beer that someone would give me, because I didn't know what kind to buy.
Now, when you're tasting wine, we go from the lighter flavors, lighter wines to the heavier, darker wine, or whites to reds, all that kind of thing. Now we're sort of doing the same thing here. We've got now a big, looks like
porter.
A porter, yeah, and that's can be a huge color, obviously, and it can be a little bit stronger in flavor. What do we got? It's a
This is the Black Creek
Okay.
Porter. They have a few different products out that just got released a little while ago. So yeah, again, we talk about wines being light-bodied or medium-bodied. I mean, these are kind of like medium to full-bodied beers, I would say. So the porter is kind of like a step down from a stout.
Right.
It has some complexity and it's a fuller-bodied style of beer, but it's not super thick and heavy.
This to me says chocolate and coffee.
Caramel.
Yeah.
Or
I got like a molasses
Yeah.
kind of.
Huge. Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Is Guinness a porter or a stout?
It's a stout, but
It's a stout.
they used to make a porter. They might still do, but I think they went from the porter style and then moved into what we know now is.
Yeah, and I like this a lot too as well. I can sort of see this as a great winter kind of drink, right? It's not something you pour down after you cut the grass. In 90-degree weather in July or whatever.
Yeah,
But this is nice
exactly.
as well. Yeah.
My grandma would love this stuff.
Yeah.
My
Well,
grandma
it's
used
good.
to tell me that a pint of Guinness a day was good for you.
Yeah, well, they used to feed it to nursing mothers
To
in,
nursing
in
mothers.
Ireland. Yeah.
And you know,
No. Did you
do
some,
that? Absolutely.
some
No.
midwives will still tell you
Yeah.
that it's a great way to get your milk to come in. I remember reading when I was being that hippie pregnant person too that they used to actually give it to newborns as well in Germany.
Oh, really?
A
Yeah.
long time ago, obviously, but that was part of the nutritional.
Yeah, you
makeup.
give them a
Can
shot
you
of
imagine?
give them a shot of whiskey and help them go to sleep when they're colicky and crying. Now, Jake, all of these wines or all of these beers are local within sort of our driving
Exactly.
range. You may not be able to get them at all of the beer stores. I guess you're more likely to find them at liquor stores. But they're certainly, if you're interested in the sort of the 100-mile diet, not that hops are 100 miles necessarily, but these beers are all made by Southern Ontario companies.
Mm-hmm. And actually, the Hop Nouveau is local made hops, locally grown hops.
Really?
Is it?
I mean, yeah, it's 100% Ontario grown product.
Wow, cool. Because there's a guy in Kitchener that I went to visit his house. I'm trying to write a little article about it, but he has hops growing in his backyard.
Okay.
Cascade hops growing in his backyard. He grows them on a great big. It looks like the mast of a ship. It's a 16-foot pole that's got like a crossbar, and you crank them up, like you lower them and raise them up. So because as they grow, they want to grow vertically. So he has them growing in his backyard, and he brews his own beer. I should have him on the show actually. He brews his own beer, makes his own beer, and then he takes these fresh hops and he sort of crumbles them up a bit and puts them right into the, like you're steeping tea almost.
Wow.
Lets it sit a little while, stirs it around a bit, and it really gives it a real kick of hoppy flavor. So. But I think this is great because I think it shows that beer doesn't need to be like you're saying, Jen. It doesn't need to be that normal sort of basic flavors. That there's a lot of different tastes you can add to it. There's nothing wrong with pumpkin. I mean, we have pumpkin spice lattes and all that other stuff, and this beer is, gives you that same kind of flavor profile. Great stuff.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more, like I said, towards the end of this month and starting in November. You'll see all these seasonal beers starting to hit the shelves.
Yeah.
And, try them out, experiment, and find what you like. But these are really good beers for this type of weather.
Yeah.
I think.
And
Nice and comforting.
this is the kind of thing that you think is best to look for at the LCBO,
Yeah.
or if you're not going to the brewery itself, then
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, the LCBO has the way their website's set up. You can do a search and pinpoint exactly what stores near you
Have
much
this kind of
product they
stuff.
have. So that's helpful. You have to be driving all over town looking for these things.
How is it possible? I've never been to the LCBO website before.
I am shocked.
Me too.
Are you kidding?
Just had this big revelation.
We're like, there's a website?
well, you must know what you want. You just go in and get it. You
I mean,
don't
we
need to-
camped out at the doors waiting for opening, but we've never been to the website.
Don't get me started on LCBO. Well, thanks a lot, Jake. It's great to have you back telling us a little bit about some of these beers. Jake Richards is from Grape Expectations sommelier service. He's a wine educator and sommelier. You can visit and get more information by going to grapeexpectations.ca. Now, don't go away because there's a lot more yet on the food show. I know we're going to enjoy this break a lot with these lovely beers with us. We are going to have a quick announcement about an upcoming event, and then we'll be talking with Jen and Bill, the Kicks 106 morning team, about their experiences at the Edelweiss Tavern. This is Andrew Coppolino, and this is the food show. And welcome back again. This is the Food Show, and this is our third segment. And we want to thank Jake Richards of GrapeExpectations.ca Sommelier Services, because we are just enjoying the heck out of some lovely spiced beers here. Learning about peas pudding as well. Maybe we'll have time a little later in the show, Bill, to get that recipe, the one you use the popping corn with, because it's interesting, and that's a little inside joke. Do you want to win an intimate dinner with David Suzuki at Borealis Grill and Pub? It's November 15th. It's going to be an unforgettable 4-course meal from Borealis Grill in Kitchener here. Or a life-changing 2-week trip to Honduras. That can be what you win. It's worldaccord.org is the place to go. Worldaccord, ACCORD.org, to get contest details, and you can be sitting at the table with David Suzuki here in Kitchener. Kind of a environmentalist, conservationist guy, I think, that we sort of all grew up with. Just a name that everybody recognizes. So it's just a great opportunity to eat local food. Learn about sustainability of the environment in general, as well as food sustainability, and that's appropriate, I think, to talk about on World Food Day. So go to worldaccord.org for full contest details. The media sponsors are 570 News, 96.7 Chime, and Kix 106.
I know those guys.
Yeah. So you have some familiarity. Yeah. Now, how familiar are you with being a restaurant reviewer?
Something new. I've been to many restaurants and chow down on many plates of food, but
when you have to make comments about it, though, so what do you think of the Edelweiss Tavern, Bill, of Kix 106 Morning Team?
Okay, well, first of all, remember, I'm from the East Coast, and a lot of folks from around
We
here.
won't hold that against you.
Well, you know
we
what?
love the East Coast.
It's funny because a lot of the times when I talk about the things I've eaten out there, they've said, "Ooh, they eat that?" Like the cod tongues and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, this visit, it's time to turn the tables.
Okay, on Waterloo County.
Yes,
Yeah.
I finally, because now that I've embraced Kitchener-Waterloo, it was home in Oktoberfest, family loves it. I figured, okay, I want to dine like the Oktoberfesters do. So even though on the East Coast they have a thing called beaver tails, great little pastry, I saw something on the menu called pigtails. I go, gee, I wonder what this is. Thanks, guys, for not informing me beforehand and everything.
Jen and
really
I were
appreciate that.
secretly smiling to ourselves.
So when my plate came and I saw, meat, I thought, okay, well, what kind of meat is this? And that's when I was informed that, no, these are actual pigtails. And you properly showed me how to eat them correctly. My neighbors, I told them about it. They all said, oh, we love pigtails. It's like, so I'm now there. My kids, who are also from the East Coast, go, Daddy, you ate pigtails?
You ate Porky Pig?
Yes, I did. I just have a whole new respect for pig as a person now because, you got the bacon, you got the ham, and now, heaven help us, you've got the pigtails
Did you
too.
like them?
Yes.
Yeah. They're a little finicky and difficult to eat because there's a lot of little bones there.
And that was my only complaint because when I eat, I like to, I'm a steak guy. I like to cut off a big piece of steak and just chow down. So it's kind of, taking little pieces of meat here and there. Kind of got on my nerves a little bit, but still, it's good eating.
Now, on each pigtail, there's two parts, right? There's a more internal part. That's tails are just extensions of spines, right? So there's an internal part of the pigtail, then there's the more external part of the pigtail. I didn't take a close enough look to see. It looked to me like you got a little bit of the internal, a little bit of the external. So
there was
that's what you
not
want to
much
keep in mind.
left.
And you have to sort of pick away from those little bones that are in there. There's usually some nice fatty kind of juicy pulled pork kind of flavor meat in there. Yeah, they look pretty good. And Jen, what was your interpretation of your meal?
It was great. I loved it. I've been dreaming about that sauerkraut ever since, I got to tell you. Because in my house...
Yeah, that was kind of different sauerkraut, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was warm, which I've noticed is something we do in Waterloo Region a lot, to have the sauerkraut hot. Which is great. And then, of course, if you put bacon and onion in something... let it sit and simmer in a pot for a long time, how could that possibly be bad?
It was interesting. I think there's a little shredded carrot in there too, or something, because it had a little bit of color to it. But it is interesting what we do with some of these. Now, the potato salad is also unique, I think, to this region as well. And Bill, you're also still in rapture over that, it seems, eh?
I don't know where I've got to get out more. I really, really do, because I just assumed that potato salad was always something in a styrofoam cup that you spoon out at a picnic. Cold, and that's fine. But boy, this potato salad right here, I mean, I've had dreams about this.
You like it, huh? You like it, huh?
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's Waterloo County stuff. It's a warm potato salad. And
so is that, I was just going to ask you those two questions. Is warm potato salad, pigtails, and warmed sauerkraut, is that native to Waterloo Region, or is that a German
I think it's got touches of German. I mean, I don't think in Germany that you get pigtails, though. Not in very many places. That is what's unique about Waterloo Region. Yeah. Pigtails are. Obviously, sauerkraut, potato salad is German, and the Germans eat potato salad. And I think it's Pennsylvania Dutch, so if you went down into Pennsylvania and Ohio, you'd find some of these same dishes. You're in the restaurant biz too, eh, Jake? You'd agree with that, I mean, potato salad is potato salad, but what we do is heat it up here and add some different flavors and spicings to it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So I'd be interested to know, though, because obviously that's not a mayonnaise base that is in that warm potato salad, is it?
That was probably a vinegar base, like a vinaigrette kind of.
Vinaigrette, okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mayonnaise, no.
I need lessons on that because it was Really good.
Oh, it's really easy to do.
Fantastic.
Take a little bit of grainy mustard,
Yes.
a little bit of vinegar,
Yeah.
or pickle juice from the
Pickle
pickle
juice,
jar.
yeah.
Mix that up a bit. After your potatoes come out of the water, like a red jacket potato that you've cut in half and cooked it down, then whip that with mayonnaise, or sorry, not with mayonnaise, with the grainy mustard, and toss it with your potato salad. It doesn't have to be blasting hot, but just warm.
Right.
And it creates that same kind of goodness that we had.
See,
And didn't we-
you got to try to make this so that way
I
you
will
make it at
try
home
it.
and bring it into work so I can
Okay.
try it too.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
just his personal chef. But didn't we say too this potato salad was really kind of there was sweet or a caraway or something?
I think there was caraway in it, but I
Caraway,
also
yeah.
think sometimes they pop a little bit of apple juice or cider
yeah.
or something in there to give it just a little bit of tang, and it causes that little bit of sweetness that's in there. Now, what did you have for your main course? You
I had schnitzel
Yeah,
and
that's a
cabbage
classic dish here
I
from
love
Waterloo region.
schnitzel.
Yeah.
I and we do eat schnitzel year round at our house. And schnitzel is very personal too, almost like a potato salad, because you'll find wherever you go, it's a little bit different. And it was great. It
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah, I had the rolled ribs, which is 3 or 4 ribs that they roll up and they stuff it with basically it's like a turkey stuffing. I think it's not as savory, I don't think, as that. It doesn't have that savory seasoning to it. That's another classic Germanic kind of dish from Waterloo County, and Oktoberfest is famous for having that kind of stuff. The only problem with it is they left the string around, like they tied up.
Oh,
the
oops.
Yeah, and that. Not a big deal, but I mean, if the kitchen's really rocking and trying to pump out, 50 or 60 dishes or whatever, that could be a problem for someone if you happen to cut a piece of that and then end up eating it.
Well, you're
So
not supposed
I'd
to
say-
eat that?
Oh, well, no, Bill, you're not. Unless you're from the East Coast, and then anything goes.
If it has
apparently.
sauce
If
on
has
it,
sauce
he'll
on
eat it. Yeah.
Generally, though, I think we had a little garlic bread before as a starter, but I think generally we found the food was good, hearty Oktoberfest Waterloo County fare, and that's what we went there for. The Edelweiss Tavern is sort of known for that kind of food. Service, how would you sum up the service in your view?
I thought the service was fine. The only thing if I had to find a complaint about anything, I thought the lighting was a little too dark. So I kind of like to see what I'm eating. I like to get a good look. Like you told me that there was some carrot in the sauerkraut. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm sitting there, really? And I had my face down at the plate, holding up to the light, and going, yeah, there is.
It does have a kind of bar quality to it, the tavern.
Sure.
Yeah, and the music was loud, but you're absolutely right. I mean, when you want to see what you're eating, there has to be a little bit of light there. So.
The good thing about, a bar atmosphere and the music being a little bit loud is if you do want to go have a beer and something really great to eat, it's a great place to bring your kids, because nobody's going to complain that your kid is being a little, there's lots going on visually. There's lots of TVs. There's lots of sports. So it's a good local hangout.
It is. And then they got music playing there a couple times a week. They've got separate banquet halls. The back end of it is more sports oriented. The front end is a little less sports oriented. But yeah, I mean, for this time of the year, it just seems to me that you got to have, pigtails, you got to have schnitzel, you got to have, you got to have all that great Oktoberfest fare. I know we're coming just off of Oktoberfest, but there's still that spirit in the air, I think, of Oktoberfest and the great kind of down home. Don't you just love that? It's a country sort of comfort food that just really sits so nicely.
And a local place that's been around forever that locals will take you to. When we first moved here, people were taking us to Edelweiss to say, this is kind of a good hangout.
Edelweiss Tavern is located at 600 Dune Village Road in Kitchener, 748-0221, edelweisstavern.ca for more information. Now, assessing food, atmosphere, service, and prices, dining out, restaurant reviews, and tasting notes on the food show are based on anonymous and unannounced visits to the establishments. The restaurants do not pay for any portion of the reviewers or his guests' meals. So I appreciate your joining me for that. It was a fun night, and it was great to get to know you. But also, again, I can't get through Oktoberfest season without having some sort of good, heavy Germanic fare like that.
I wish I only did it once. I tend to do it quite frequently during October.
Well, for the I do this Rogers Cable Grand River Living dining segment, the Grand River Living show. I did a little cuisine segment. Jake, you've been on that show several times. Yeah. But I went into the Concordia kitchen, and I was with Chef Andreas, who prepares all the, oversees all the food for Concordia, and he was throwing out some absolutely outlandish numbers. Like I think it was 14,000 schnitzel.
Wow.
10,000 14,000 Oktoberfest sausage, 10,000 schnitzel. I mean, it's just huge numbers. And in the back hallway, they have these gigantic cans of sauerkraut. There was 120 of these cans, and I would say these cans were they were as the circumference, I guess, of a dinner plate. and they stood about a foot and a half deep. So these were 20-pound cans, I think, or something, and there was 120 of these cans.
Crazy.
That's a huge amount of sauerkraut. That
We
goes
saw
out of
them
that
at the
place.
Concordia Club after they're done in the kitchen. They
Yeah.
move them out
Yeah.
into that smoking area.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of
Wow.
container. And you're right, it takes you back
I
when
know,
you
I know.
see the size of it.
And he said like this was a particularly good year for Oktoberfest. I think they had a real cracker of a first weekend, and that first week was great with the weather. Kind of got nasty at the end of the week, but I guess they just had great turnout. And he was really concerned that they may not have had enough food to get through because they
Wow.
order it based on last year and they sort of play with those numbers a little bit. But I think they almost ran out. It was just they were right to the very last schnitzel. Nothing was thrown away, which is amazing. I mean, so it's a great festival, and a place like the Edelweiss keeps that kind of tradition alive during the year as well. You can go in there and get sort of Oktoberfest hunter schnitzel and some great stuff that they always have in stock there. So you don't have to worry about when Oktoberfest goes away. You can go in the middle of December and find good hearty Waterloo County fare.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that's about it for this segment, but don't go away. There's a lot more coming up on the Food Show right after these messages. I'm Andrew Coppolino, along with Jen and Bill from country music great station, Kix 106. Jake Richards also joins me alongside Sommelier and grapeexpectations.ca. Sit tight, come right back. You're listening to 570 News.
This
He likes bread and butter. He likes toast and jam. That's what baby feeds him. He's a loving man. Well, I like bread and butter. I like toast and jam.
And there we go. Well, we've come to nearly the end of the show. Because that music signifies, I forget, that thing went number 2 in 1961 or something like that. And I certainly like bread and butter. Now, in my backyard, first let me tell you about this. Kitchener Market in downtown Kitchener, BIA, in coordination with Grand River Shows and 570 News, Kix 106, 96.7 Chime, is presenting Waterloo Region's Food and Drink Expo. That's coming up at the Kitchener Market November 24 to 26. $12 admission. Visit fooddrinkexpo.com. So another great food event for foodie people in the Waterloo region, and looking forward to that for sure. Now, I've got here something that falls out of the trees in my backyard that I've brought in, and I have collected, I kid you not, probably about 60 pounds of black walnuts.
Black walnut.
That's a black walnut.
Oh,
There you go. Now they're kind of dirty and messy, so they will don't like rub your eyes or anything after you touch this thing, Jen.
Okay.
But they fall out of the tree every time this year. This has been an amazing year. This has been an amazing year. There are more. I have shipped off 50 to 60 pounds of these
It
things.
smells citrusy.
It does kind of smell
The
citrusy.
outside
Yeah,
smells citrusy
yeah.
kind of.
And
Or
this
maybe
is
I've been
kind of
drinking.
this is the kind of you can see the walnut there. This is a very fresh one, right?
Oh.
But you can sort of scoop out the inside. And I'm just going to very carefully. There's a little
Okay,
crumb
thank
there because
you.
they're not very big inside. I'll give it a little bit, and you can pass one on to Bill.
And
here
so
too.
this is raw.
Yeah.
The walnut meat is raw.
Yeah. You can go ahead and
Oh,
eat it.
I'm not supposed to
here.
eat. I'm not supposed to eat the peel.
No, I wouldn't eat the peel. No.
So can
But
we try it? Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, try it. I don't.
I
Very
feel
well
your
then.
pain. I had one of these trees in my backyard.
Did you?
a few
Oh
years
man, are
ago.
they messy?
Oh.
Oh, they're so
And you can't
messy.
park your car.
Well, they're in the
underneath it.
backyard.
Yeah, this is good.
But yeah,
I'll
some
tell
of
you,
the-
no, you know what? We can't go out of our house into that backyard. Like we were gonna have guests over for wine,
Yeah.
in the backyard, and those things plummet to the ground, and they make a thudding noise like you've never heard. And we can't sit back there; it's dangerous. I
Yeah.
have to give what do you call it? Like bicycle helmets to everybody.
Yeah,
But you have something to throw at the neighbors now
I've
if they get on
seen
your
them.
nerves. You know, this is great.
Does that
Oh, they're
smell
great to
citrusy
find
on
in the spring
outside?
too with your lawnmower next year.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're terribly messy. They're terribly messy. And like I say, they poison the ground so that nothing can grow around them, right? So I built a shed. This is hilarious. I built a shed in that corner then because nothing will grow there, and I can put stuff in there. Nice shed, nice little shed. It's actually got an East Coast theme because I've got like a buoy that we got out there, and I've got
Nautical
kind of
theme.
nautical theme, yeah. And the kid next door, great little kid next door, took the walnuts, starts throwing them back in my yard, bang, right through the window in the shed. And yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but anyway, what I've done is I don't know. There's a guy called Fred DeMartine. He was just on Pitchin' In, Lynn Crawford's TV show.
Uh-huh.
He's a pork farmer, pig farmer, Perth Pork in Sebringville, in Perth County. And I dropped off about 60 pounds of these things, and he feeds them to his herd of wild boar.
Really?
So what I want to do is, when those boar are ready,
get the
I'm going to
wild
go.
boar.
So then the sort of circle of life thing is
Yes.
coming in here. Isn't that cool?
That's
Yeah.
very cool,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
So I spend every afternoon. Isn't this sad?
You are a farmer.
I'm a gentleman farmer. Yes, I'm a gentleman
Yes.
farmer. I spend every afternoon at this time of the year collecting these things. I have 2 dogs, and the dogs are out there, and they'll be sitting out there, and all of a sudden, and the dog looks around scared because one of these things is hurtled to. I mean, it's a 100-foot tree or more,
Yeah.
and they just rain down. I've got some tables out there that, they hit the top of the shed, and you sort of sit up and. But anyway, apparently. Mennonites, old order Mennonites, used to drive around the neighborhood. The house is about 80 years old, so back in the 30s and 40s, I guess the Mennonites used to drive through the neighborhoods, and they used to pick these things up, and they would use them to preserve or eat. They boil down the stuff, and I guess they make dyes and stuff out of them because they stain quite badly. Like you can see, my hands right now are kind of.
So the inside of the walnut, it looks like a walnut,
It does.
right?
You want to take a look at it? Yeah, it looks like a walnut. They're harder. They're more bitter. They're very hard to crack, not like a regular English walnut, which probably it comes from California, the walnuts that we get from the grocery store. But these are black walnuts, and you got to really force a knife through there to break that open. They're a little bit more bitter in taste than a regular walnut when they dry out, and they have a high fat content, so they tend to go rancid fairly quickly. So that's what stinks in your backyard after these
Yes.
things sit around for a little while rotting. Yeah, and they rot very quickly. They deteriorate very quickly. So I filled up one year we opened up I have another sort of shed up near the house, and I opened that up, and the whole, did I tell you the story? Yeah.
I know where you're going.
The whole, I opened the door, and a flood of walnuts came rolling out at my feet, and I kid you not, the squirrels had been packing these things away over the course of the fall, and I hadn't been in there in several months. I went in December, and they all came out, and I had to package them all.
Like a sitcom.
Yeah, it was. It was like it was like a commercial for getting better closet space. You open up the door, all this. So that's the black walnut story.
Jeez.
Isn't that amazing?
You know what is amazing? I just find about this community is just that. I live in the Forest Heights area, Kitchener. I have apple trees in my backyard, pear trees in my backyard.
yeah.
I'm sure at some point it was a
little orchard.
an
yeah.
orchard. And I love that, within the city limits of Kitchener, all of a sudden you're at somebody's farm in 2 minutes feeding their wild boar things.
Yeah.
It's just
And
such
you
a
remember
cool-
at the corner of Benton and King, that hotel that's now, I forget what it's called now.
Delta?
Yeah, the Delta. It used to be called the Black Walnut Inn. So there was obviously a stand of black walnuts there that people were,
yeah.
Yeah. So that's my black walnut story. What's
It's a
up?
good
What's
story.
up? What's coming up on Kicks 106? What's going to be new and exciting? Anything? Tell us a little bit about it.
What is coming
Well, we're
up?
sending people out of town. We want to send them to what's going to be the biggest night in country music, the 45th annual CMA Awards
Oh, cool.
in Nashville. This is where all the stars come out,
Okay.
and you're sitting in your seat. Jen and I have been to this event before, and you see superstars coming to their seats. I mean,
Nice.
you can yell at them if you want to.
So what do they have to do to get on that bus?
Kicks106online.com.
And that's where they
And
can
yes, and start entering to win. And also a great place to eat. Gosh, if you want to eat chicken and waffles, we were just talking about. If you want
Oh.
to
That'd
eat
be wonderful.
food, the southern food, Nashville is a.
Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here today and share my walnut stories with me.
Hey, I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
sharing the beer with
Yes.
us.
Bill Hart and Jen Campbell from Kicks 106, the morning team. Thanks, guys. That's it for the show for this week. Thanks to sommelier Jake Richards, GreatExpectations.ca. Also Bill and Jen from Kicks 106 in the morning. Visit 570news.com for an archive of past shows and follow the Food Show at twitter.com 570 Food Show and read my column in the Kitchener Post each Friday. Join us next week for more on the Food Show, including a visit with Cambridge Mayor Doug Craig. Remember, eat wisely and eat well. Thank you for joining us here on the Food Show, only on 570 News.
Dust.